Can eating so much cause this? Because I used to eat a lot.
So I think this question is very relevant considering the kind of patients I've been seeing at Para. Alcohol is definitely there, quite a lot. But an 8-year-old is not consuming alcohol.
How much could you possibly drink to get pancreatitis?
My youngest case would be 2.5-year-old girl.
I have a constant pressure pain in my upper abdomen and chest. I got an endoscopy which was normal, stress test, etc. all normal, but I have elevated liver enzymes. The pain has gotten worse. Has anyone with pancreatitis had these symptoms?
So,
does anybody else have the lovely combination of pancreatitis and gastroparesis besides me?
I think a lot of patients have this lovely combination. Say many patients that I see in my clinic do have gastritis, pancreatitis and duodenitis as a tri-combination.
So I don't see how it could make my gallbladder contract. Could this be an AP flare-up?
Well, very difficult to comment.
Immediately, what are the tests that they should do?
They should do their amylase and lipase levels.
Yeah.
They could also do their CBC complete blood count. And they should also do a ultrasonography as a first step.
Hello, Shikha ji.
Hi, Devangi.
Thank you for your time today. And with pancreatitis on the rise globally, I think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, and that is why this time in this episode, this is a new format that we are trying, and we are trying to answer questions that have come globally, and we have sourced these questions from Reddit.
Wow.
So yes, let's get on to answering these questions about pancreatitis and also debunking some myths around the disease, right? So the first question is that for those of you only doing one meal a day, what do you eat for that meal? Also, do you have snacks? I don't think I'm eating enough protein. Thank you for your suggestions. I know everyone is different, but just a few ideas would be very helpful.
Thank you, Devangi. And honestly, I mean, like the amount of efforts you put in every time to come back to me with such amazing questions, kudos to you. Because I think every time I hear your question and the efforts you put in is like, I think, exceptional. So coming to this question, if at all this is regarding to pancreatitis, as I've earlier also mentioned that with pancreatitis, I would not recommend somebody to go for a OMAD diet or one meal a day diet. Because, you know, what I recommend people is to have frequent small meals. If you're just having one meal, so at that one particular meal, you would stress out your pancreas quite a lot. So what I would recommend is 3 big meals, maybe breakfast, lunch and dinner, and 2 smaller snacks in between. So that will be more ideal for a patient suffering with pancreatitis.
On to the next question. So, how do you understand the different types of pains between IBS, pancreas and stuff? No pain on the right side of the body, but huge bloating. I'm trying very hard to digest everything and still the huge bloating persists. No diverticulitis, diarrhea every day, and the weight goes up and down random. What do you guys think? Don't tell me it's all about stress, it's in your head.
Well, I'm sure the person who mentioned this question would be very, very tired of all these symptoms.
Yeah.
And this happens to be in many, many cases of chronic pancreatitis. Because it is just not the pain all the time, but you know, there are many, many gastrointestinal symptoms, whether it is belching, bloating, heaviness. Sometimes there could be constipation, sometimes there could be obstipation when you're not able to even pass gas. And sometimes you could have extreme diarrhea also. So whenever there is so much of fluctuations happening in your bowel habits and everything, so the patient gets quite cranky about it. That's what exactly is happening. Because they are not able to identify a particular pattern. Why this is happening. So most of the time this is related to chronic pancreatitis. It could be because of chronic underlying inflammation and all because of that.
So this Reddit user says, I just had a painful attack and threw up after. I have hypothesized that it is my gallbladder. But I also had a bout of AP in April. My diet has been very low fat. I'd say around 5 grams of fat a day. So I don't see how it could make my gallbladder contract. Could this be an AP flare-up?
Well, very difficult to comment. Firstly, if your gallbladder is involved or not, one cannot say it just without, you know, looking at any report. So the first thing that I would recommend this person would be to go for a ultrasonography so that we could see what is the problem. If there's any active inflammation or, you know, anything else. If it is acute pancreatitis where he's mentioned that there was an attack of AP, so we need to correlate it with, you know, elevated enzymes, whether it is amylase or lipase level and so on. One could address it depending on what exactly is the situation. And also when he's mentioned that he has been taking low fat diet, which is one of the advisories with pancreatitis, that you should not go very high on the fat. Also not, completely eliminate it.
Yeah.
So everything in moderation, but on the lower side, as long as it is about the fat intake.
Next question is, hey all, I've been having some lower GI issues this last month and recently got some testing done. Doctor tested for my lipase level and it came back as 182 with the normal range ending at 60. I've been lurking here a bit and see that levels can get significantly higher. But I'm just trying to maintain my own health anxiety and gauge how concerned I should really be here. Am I overreacting? Probably. Any thoughts would be welcome though. Thanks all.
I think this question is again very relevant. Sometimes when the enzyme levels are more than 3 times, it is when one may say clinically that you might have pancreatitis or you could have pancreatitis. So since the normal range is 60 and it is almost 3 times the normal, so it could be pancreatitis. And also with pancreatitis, you have all the flare-ups and all the symptoms. So this is very much a case of pancreatitis as per me. Apart from that, as I advised earlier also, you need to go for other tests and investigations to rule out whether you have some other condition or to have the exact picture of your damage in the pancreas or the amount of inflammation you might have. And based on that, one can advise you with the treatment protocol and what is needed. However, if with this elevated enzyme level, you have pain, the first thing should be you should not be eating at this moment. Ideally just be on a water fast or something, whatever suits you, but no food. That
No
is
food
my
at all.
recommendation. Yeah.
And immediately, what are the tests that they should do?
So see, ideally they should do their amylase and lipase levels,
Yeah.
and they could also do their CBC complete blood count, and they should also do a ultrasonography as a first step. And later something is significantly found, then one can go for other investigation based on what the doctor is advising. And it is also quite obvious that many people just see at the reports all the time and they might not have all the symptoms also. But looking at those numbers, they quite freak out.
Yeah.
Because I think with pancreatitis, what is very relevant is a lot of fear. Because the pain of pancreas or pancreatitis is really bad. And it's like a knife piercing your left side of the stomach and you feel horrible about it. So that constant phobia is there. I know so many people who just keep looking at the report, no, this is high, I don't have pain, but I might get pain. So this is one constant challenge that I keep, feeling with being a clinician, that people have this question, no, the enzymes are high, I'm about, I'll get the attack, I'll get the attack. So they keep manifesting it some way or the other. Yes, sometimes it is the inflammation and not actively you have those symptoms around. So the best way is to go for complete rest, mental and physical, and give it some time, it will settle down.
Hopefully for them. Let's hope that good health for everyone. This Reddit user asks, does anybody else have the lovely combination of pancreatitis and gastroparesis besides me? Trying to manage both at the same time is killing me.
I think a lot of patients have this lovely combination and it is quite common. More and more, I think it is developing in many, many patients and it is quite evidently seen. Many patients that I see in my clinic do have gastritis, pancreatitis and duodenitis as a tri combination. So all three conditions existing together and therefore, one leading to the other and all three coexisting. And patients are really worried and troubled because sometimes they're not able to differentiate between whether it is a gastric pain or whether it is a pancreatic pain or sometimes it is just pain because of duodenitis. So it is very important for us to, understand each and every case, why one would be having those symptoms and pain at one particular time. So this becomes crucial at times and then addressing what exactly is the problem. So that happens and it is quite common. So with gastritis, whenever there's a stomach emptying, with empty stomach, patients feel pain. Whereas with pancreatitis, sometimes the moment they're eating, they might develop pain because they can't take, any food or something because they would immediately respond to it. And in duodenitis, they would say after eating food, after 1 hour, they have pain. So it's very important to clinically understand each and every symptom and hear the patient history very clearly. And then we are able to come out with a clearer diagnosis and then accordingly treat the patient.
Okay, thank you. Next question. I have been in awful pain for months, seeing cardiologists, but all the tests come back normal other than tachycardia. I have a constant pressure pain in my upper abdomen and chest. I got an endoscopy which was normal, stress test, etc., all normal, but I have elevated liver enzymes. The pain has gotten worse. Has anyone with pancreatitis had these symptoms?
So, to make you understand, Devangi, in many cases of acute pancreatitis, sometimes the pain is making that of a heart attack also. So, that might be one reason that the patient might have been referred to a cardiologist, because it is a referred pain, and sometimes the brain cannot differentiate whether it is because of pancreatitis or actually a referred pain of any cardiac arrest or something of that sort. So, that could be one reason. Also, in many cases, because when the enzymes are so high, and the oxidative stress, the oxygen supply goes really poor in the body, and that could lead to tachycardia with poor hydration. There's multiple reasons. I mean, like, I'm just trying to explain you briefly.
Yeah.
So these are certain factors, and tachycardia can exist in people with pancreatitis, especially somebody who's having recurrent bouts of pain or severe pain. Your heart rate can always go higher. Sometimes with pancreatitis, when you have a lung injury also, there's pleural effusion. These are also the cases where, you might have infection, you have temperature. In those cases also, you might have tachycardia. So there would be multiple reasons when one might develop tachycardia. So you always need to be under medical supervision, and do not try to self-treat it. Go to your ER, and that's how it's supposed to be taken care of.
So pancreatitis comes along with other conditions, other
Yeah,
conditions
absolutely.
as well.
So, in many cases of acute pancreatitis, there could be multiple organ failure also. Because, as I was explaining earlier also, when we have an attack, so a lot of pancreas juice is produced, I think more than what is needed. And rather than digesting the food, it starts digesting the organ itself. And sometimes it enters the main bloodstream, through which it goes to your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, and therefore causing sepsis, an infection, and it could be a very critical condition at times. So whenever there's especially the first attack at times could be very critical for a patient. So I would always recommend to, never take it lightly and go to the doctor.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the next question. It's been 20 days since I got discharged from the hospital. I got diagnosed with mild acute pancreatitis, and my doctor told me to go on a dairy-free diet for 1 month and take Creon for a month too. I'm traumatized that it might happen again. I'm so scared. I don't drink, I don't smoke. Well, I used to drink, and my last drink was at June 6th, and it was just like 2 shots. I got all the tests done, ultrasound, MRI, blood test, all of them came back okay. And they still cannot find the reason why I had pancreatitis. Can pancreatitis come back? Can eating so much cause this? Because I used to eat a lot.
So I think this question is very relevant, considering the kind of patients I've been seeing at Padav. One reason, because pancreatitis these days is sometimes just idiopathic. Like an hour back only, I saw a patient. He's 8 years old. And so I asked, what did the doctor say? So they asked whether he was taking alcohol. So in a country like India, where, okay, alcohol is definitely there quite a lot, but a 8-year-old is not consuming alcohol.
How much could you possibly drink to get pancreatitis?
So, and still the question is around alcohol. So I don't think that is true in every case. Obviously, it is one of the reasons, but I don't think every person who gets pancreatitis is just alcohol, especially for an 8-year-old kid. Similarly, for this patient also, maybe alcohol is not the only factor. It could be idiopathic. There could be several other factors. It could be the lifestyle. It could be poor sleeping habits, obesity, metabolic problems. It could be genetic predisposition, or it could be, high calorie food intake. So many reasons could be there. Or maybe some medicines. Sometimes people are taking fat loss capsules, something, something, something. So, there are multiple reasons. And also, once you've got pancreatitis, usually it is a self-limiting disease if it is not very bad. But sometimes if it becomes recurrent in nature, then sometimes it just doesn't stop.
So next question is, I always had severe pain for the first years of developing it, but I haven't had pain in like a year or more, and didn't drink any alcohol until 4 years later since my last alcohol pancreatitis attack. It made me feel confident that I had no pain. So yesterday I was unable to sleep, and I decided to go ahead and drink some beer. No pain again. And today I also drank another, and also no pain or discomfort. I don't know how to feel about it. It is a weird feeling, but I am not in pain and probably will drink a tiny bit of it. anyone felt pain after drinking again? Anyone fell for the beer again? So
See,
alcohol and pancreatitis, how do they?
see, like I said, like pancreatitis, if you have pancreatitis, alcohol is a big no.
Okay,
Okay. And alcohol causes pancreatitis and may not cause pancreatitis.
correct.
But if you have pancreatitis, you're not supposed to have alcohol. I know several people who are treated and once in a while they do indulge. But as a doctor, I would always say, that alcohol is a big no for you. It is okay to experiment, but you are experimenting at your own risk.
Yeah.
You never know what it might trigger. So it has to be a decision made very consciously and making people aware about it that you're doing so. But I would not recommend.
My niece is diagnosed with autoimmune pancreatitis. It is very shocking, and I'm keen to know that pancreatitis is prevalent even in children and why.
Over the years, I feel pancreatitis is rampantly increasing, amongst children. And I think last 3 years at Pada, we have seen so many children coming to us right from the age of 2.5 years till like 14 years, 13 years. A lot of kids come to Pada for the treatment. And it is quite surprising because I think few years back, I never saw these many cases in such small children. Was hardly there or very few were coming to us. But I think as we are progressing, inflammatory diseases are on a rise and pancreatitis is not an exception. It is really rising. It's a matter of concern because it's always said that pancreatitis does hamper the quality of life, your longevity, and the other symptoms and so many other things. So it makes me curious what's happening. So a lot to do with the way we have been living, the way we have been eating, the stress levels, especially the parents today, even they are very unhealthy. So I think it is how the relay race is like. So yeah, it's very common in children. And even right now at Pada, we have so many teenagers admitted,
Yeah.
which is quite concerning.
And what's the youngest age that you have treated a patient?
So my youngest case would be 2.5-year-old girl when she came to me. And that's the youngest case I've treated myself. But apart from that, the youngest case I've heard of pancreatitis is a 2-month-year-old. So few months back when I got those reports, I didn't know how to treat that small of a kid. So I, denied taking up that case because I really didn't understand how could I give the medication, how will I manage the diet or whatsoever it is. So I was clueless. So it's always important to know when you can intervene and when you cannot.
Right. Yes, I mean, I think that like we've also been reading so much data about how pancreatitis is affecting people in all stages of their lives, and we see at Padav also the kind of patients, the inflow of patients that we see. It's a bit disturbing also, but I'm sure that we'll find a solution to it, and we'll find at least some data to this back, like to understand ki what could be the ways that we prevent it.
Yeah, or at least manage it better.
Manage it better.
Because I think at this tender age or young age, the main concern that parents have is, they can't see their child in pain.
Yeah.
Or they can't see them getting admitted again and again because the immediate treatment is pain management.
Yeah.
And putting their child into a fasting mode, not feeding anything. And then the child is constantly, looking at food, whether he can eat it or not. And so many things. And it does affect your mental health and so many things furthermore. And if it is a progressive condition, the parents go really crazy about it.
Yes, yes. The paranoia in parents especially is very high because in all my interactions, yesterday only we did that one shoot wherein I realized that the father also has put in so much effort in trying to understand this disease out of the normal life. So yes, it affects lifestyles a lot, families a lot, but hoping for a healthier future with Padav.
Thank you. But just to close this video, I think all the questions that you've asked today, I think each one had thought through before they would have posted on Reddit about it.
Yes.
And sometimes I feel, hearing you especially, I think only once you get pancreatitis, you try to understand what it is. And there's a dire need of creating a community of people who are suffering from it so that they could at least exchange their, thoughts around it, their conditions, and at least, express it out because nobody else can understand the plight they go through,
Yes.
whether it is in terms of the pain, the recurrences, the progression, the impact on their health, mentally, physically, financially, at every aspect. So I think for me also as an objective from Padav, it is to address the patient's queries and educate them and make them aware of the the consequences of this disease, which is less heard, but quite bothering to people who get diagnosed with this.
Yes, yes. Yes, and like with the Padaf community that we have across YouTube and also on Instagram, I think the main goal is that people come together, whoever is going through pancreatitis or anyone who has a family member, who has a loved one who's going through pancreatitis, can actually come together and look for a solution or at least understand how to manage it.
Correct.
So that's the entire objective of these videos. Thank you so much for always, being there and giving our time, not only for the patients, but also for these initiatives that we are doing at Padav. Thank you so much for supporting us all the time.
Thank you, Devangi.